Hi, I'm Simon Rushton and this is Taxi Chronicles podcast. On this podcast, we spontaneously interview unsuspecting passengers with their permission, allowing them to share their intimate life stories and concerns. As our slogan states, real riders, real stories. Some riders prefer to be anonymous, while others ask me to tell their story later on. Either way, there are all genuine 5 to 10 minutes stories, so sit back and enjoy this episode. Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode. A couple of riders from somewhere in Europe, I believe. Bob and Steve. So you know what that means if you're regular listeners. Anonymous is the call of the meal for today. Anyway, we've got Bob, and he's they're both into adventure stuff from what I'm seeing. They've got some massive backpacks. I thought they was going to climb Mount Everest, but they're not. They're going off.
We're going wild camping.
Onto wild camping.
Yeah.
But Steve, what do you do for a living?
So I'm a hotelier. I work in hotels, restaurants, bars, sort of anywhere in the F&B sector. Food, beverage, drinks.
Okay.
And yeah, I've been doing that for the last 7-8 years in London.
How did you get into that industry?
I took a foundation year in university, not knowing what I wanted to go into, and eventually, found my way into studying hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked my way. I worked in some big hotels and small hotels to see more or less what I wanted. I worked in the Mandarin Oriental here, for example, in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
But then decided that was really not my thing. Too big, massive hotels.
Mm.
So yeah, and then I decided the more eco sort of nature direction was more what I wanted, and combined all that hotelier sort of stuff with camping and just wildlife. And I'm trying to sort of make a little project like that.
Okay. So what kind of wildlife are you seeing when you're doing this whole camping thing?
I mean, today's adventure is just more a little, escape from home close by, so it's not really an adventure. But usually, in England, if you go proper wild camping, what do you see? The most exciting, you see horses and sheep and things like that. You don't see anything too. I've been camping in South Carolina or Montreal or much more rough.
And what did you see there?
There you have everything from black bears to rattlesnakes to wolves to.
Do you see? Is it cougars?
Yeah, they have. I haven't seen it. They're very rare to see.
But they're shy animals.
They're shy and they're, going extinct. So you're lucky if you see one of those.
Oh, is it? Well,
yeah.
People are shooting them then.
Not anymore. It's legal, but yeah, they were really sort of hunted for their fur and whatnot back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anything like that, sort of big mountain cats and they're just rare nowadays.
You must have quite a few stories then.
Yeah, I guess so. Here and there. But yeah.
So you've seen a bear though? Did the bear? What was the experience of seeing a bear like in the wild? Did he come up to you? Is he trying to?
Oh no! It was from quite a distance, sort of across a lake style. So I was well away from any danger.
Okay.
It was more. It was almost as if I saw it in a zoo. It was so far away that obviously it didn't have any sort of fences around it, but it wasn't like a up close and personal.
Have you ever had any times when you've been camping and you felt that your life was in jeopardy?
No, but I've definitely heard noises that I wouldn't want to meet the animal that noise is coming out. Like I don't know if it was a wolf or a wild sort of dog or type thing. I'm talking about a span of like 15 different countries, so there's a lot of wildlife.
So you've been America, you camped in America, England, where else?
Switzerland, Turkey, Greece, quite a few.
But in some of those like when I was in Turkey, this is years ago, over 20 years ago, my university.
You studied there?
No,
Oh.
I studied construction.
Okay.
So I went over there to study antiquity.
Oh, wow.
Obviously,
the right
they've got the
place for that.
Hellenistic, the Ottoman Empire,
Yeah.
various different things. But we was up in the mountains, and they're saying there's lots of nomads, and you get bandits with the nomads.
I mean, it must have been quite far away. Well, you're saying 20 years ago as well.
Yeah.
Do you remember the region?
No, I remember there's a Hellenistic ruins that we were at, and I remember that I thought this must have been where they took the movie. There's Anthony Quinn, an old actor. Back in the days. This must have been where they took that scene because it feels like the same.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much history in Turkey. I mean, from that time period, before, after. I mean, it doesn't stop. So yeah, it might have been that, but there's so many places you'd be surprised there.
Yeah.
How much history there is. But yeah, no, I mean, I guess the most wild place I could say was, up north, New York, sort of between Canadian-US border. That is a sort of, like where the bears and the wolves were and sort of.
I was thinking in certain cases, other human beings may be the most dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Really. I mean, that's why.
Some nutter, some hillbilly.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, humans are the biggest, scariest sort of animal out there anyway. So yeah, for sure, I'd be much more scared if a guy came out of a bush than if a bear came out of a bush.
Yeah. At least
yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't know the intention of the guy. The bear, at least there are ways to handle it, and I wouldn't mind encountering a bear. It's a cool experience. That's what I'm after, an adventure anyway. But yeah, for sure, I wouldn't want to bump into any random people.
I hear you. So you've been all those countries. What's the most preferred country you've been to?
I mean, like living life quality wise or camping wise or like
both
life quality and living wise.
Yeah.
I mean, Switzerland and Montreal were my top two.
Okay.
Like for the amount of money you earn for any kind of job to live, your expenses, everything is just, they just take better care of their people. I think.
Yeah.
And foreigners, because I wasn't, obviously I'm not Swiss. But camping wise, again, Canada's up there because the nature is so diverse. You have lakes and summer rainforesty, areas, and then on the other hand you have super high glaciers. You have sort of more like California terrain where it's almost deserty and rocks. It's a mix of everything, and they have great hiking trails there. Don't know if you heard of the Pacific Crest Trail, for example. It's like hiking over, from Mexico to Canada, or like, I mean, people do it in journeys. They don't do it in one go, obviously.
From Mexico to Canada?
Yeah.
Where there's mountains all that way?
Yeah, I mean, mountains or like deserts or just all the landscape that changes. Without that, you hike through it, and people usually, like, let's say, if I know I'm going to do that, I know I'm going to be in the forest for the next 3 weeks, and then the fourth week, let's say, I know I'm going to approach an area where it's more desert, so there's not enough cover and everything. What I would do is I would pack a little bag, mail it to the closest sort of post office that I can find that's closest to that hiking trail, go leave my winter boots that I needed for the foresty part, take the whatever shoes I need for the sandy part, and then continue. And then sort of they mail things for themselves from before along the route. So they drop things off, and because otherwise you need like from ski clothes to rainforest.
Carrying a lot of kit otherwise, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're regardless carrying more kit than we have today. And we have like 25 kilos each today. Today usually carry 35 to 40. I mean, I don't think I could walk with one of those bags now. It's a different.
Do you have you ever climbed any mountains?
I mean, in Switzerland, I've trekked and hiked a lot in the Alps, but I mean, I haven't sort of mountain climbed, with like proper equipment.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess that, hiking on mountains, yes, Switzerland for sure, and Canada.
What happens if you're sick along that trail?
I mean, yeah, that's thankfully never happened to me. But the friends I've been with, I mean, one wakes up one morning, super sick, or the other one twists his ankle or something. When something like that happens, you have to. I mean, thankfully, it's never gotten ever to a situation where I have to call in help. But sometimes we're so remote, like 10 hours from the closest road, you have to call the helicopter. I mean, not call, but if it's an emergency, if you broke your leg and your friend can't carry it, if you're alone. I always have satellite. I always tell people where I'm going.
Satellite phone.
Like my jacket has a little link on it that literally, if I'm lost, they can activate it and track me through satellite and see exact location and so on like that. So, but I've never found myself in a situation. That's very scary. I've had to wait a day until one of my friends we had to extend our trip one night because his leg wasn't well and it was better the next day, Or the friend that I was feeling sick, I just had to do all the work and he just hiked back. I carried his stuff and it's just a burden, but it's never been sort of.
I suppose it's part of the adventure, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it brings you
100%.
Closer together.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that respect.
Definitely.
That sounds really adventurous. I'm ex-military, so I'm really taking fascination to what you do. You're never wary of coming across like organised crime, like cartels, things like that?
I mean, usually the places I go in is so remote. I mean, I'm going like a place to where we're going now, and just to hop off the car and jump into the forest, which is just along a road. Just like an escapist route. We just wanted to go one night camp and just be in open air after being stuck indoors for so long. So it's not like when I actually go camping, sort of adventure camping, wild camping, that we're always quite a long walk away from any road, 5 hours to 8 hours to 15 hours, depends. I mean, and you're covering 10 kilometers per hour. That's a lot, like you're not going to get some random people there. If you see people, it's either hunters, I mean, depending here not, but in Canada or in Switzerland, or
wait, you're walking with kit 10 kilometers per hour?
Yeah, I mean, you get to, I mean, obviously right now it's probably not accurate, probably more like 6 or 5, but when you're more into it,
go on.
yeah, I mean, those times you have to, because otherwise you can't get far enough to camp, and you don't want to be close to any civilization. You don't want to hear, or you don't want your night sky to be affected from any light pollution, for example. There's more nature, there's more animals, there's more what I'm after, at least, when I go camping. So the further the better for me.
What would your be? You sound like really well informed. For our listeners who are as intrigued as I am, you make me want to start camping again. Even though I did it in the military. What would be your advice to somebody who's thinking, I'm going to start walking off into a forest and just camp?
I mean, I'll definitely say, number one, you read up on the area where you're going to. Like first just see. Is it allowed? Is there?
Is it allowed? Yeah.
About that, and then depending on the country you're in, again, it changes. Is there any wild animals? Do I need to have any, like a proper pocket knife with me? Do I have to be prepared for anything like that, or no? Is the only wild animal around a goat or a sheep or something? Then, or cows, and then you're fine. You can be at ease. Or just doing a bit of background research before you go, and choosing equipment correctly would be my second, so that not taking too much. I mean, from our backpacks, that's probably not an accurate example, but the more you go, obviously, the more you sort of learn which kit is useful, what you don't use, what just looks cool but has no use or whatever.
Okay.
To keep dry and warm, etc.
Okay. What is there any plans to climb any hills or do any Pacific camping yet to come?
Well, Snowdonia would be next on our list, I think. I don't know. Right now, Snowdonia is in lockdown. I mean, Wales is in lockdown, but I don't know if that includes the national parks. So, if they're open, then 100% Wales would be the next one, and that you can do some pretty nice climbing. Peaks are 3,500 feet, and they have several of those peaks, and you can either walk up the nice sort of gentle path, or you can go on the back and actually you can.
Yeah, I've done Snowdonia. Well, we did it in the military a couple of times, but our last time we actually had to call it off because it was really windy and rainy.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where the kind of fog.
Right. Oh yeah.
Fog set in, you can't see.
I've gotten lost in Snowdonia, literally.
Yeah. And then the wind just blew one of our oppos off.
Oh,
we was walking up the trail, and then next thing we saw this guy just going boom, right in the back, bum, 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 and he banged his head on a rock. So we thought he was dead, but he wasn't. And then we had a laugh. We said that was close. Can you do it again? Didn't catch it.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of big, yeah.
For sure. That's why, I mean, if you read up on Snowdonia lately, and obviously not being in the military, but you know that they will say it's very windy, be careful, I don't know, don't go too high if you don't know what you're doing, etc., because there are definitely risks, and you know, you just need to be a bit aware of everything. Exactly. But yeah.
What's the impact you want to have on the world?
The impact, wow, that went very deep. I mean, anything that I could do to raise any type of awareness of the world is sort of in terms of global warming and, you know, everything. I don't know if you've seen David Attenborough's new, that concept. Anything that I can do to raise awareness or just bring people to appreciate the beauty of the world and not to throw all that away. That would be a nice place to start. Okay, that's great. Thanks a lot. Amazing.
We hope you liked that episode. Keeping in mind we never know who we're going to interview. We post twice a day, 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. GMT. Have you ever considered the future economies to invest in? Why not listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories? Considering Africa has the fastest growing economies and population on Earth and has done for many years, it holds 30% of the world's known natural resources. We publish twice a week, Tuesday with a guest investor and Fridays talking about investment, politics and history, providing a clear understanding for any potential investor.